Wes, I'm going to make you the host because I can't join, but I've already started the recording. So
Okay, that's
you
fine.
shouldn't you shouldn't you shouldn't have to do anything. All right.
Our other fearless leader should be here shortly.
All right. Thanks.
Added the link in the chat to the current temporary URL for the HackMD we're using. I guess at some point over the next week, we probably need to take the permanent location and actually remove most of that content to an archive. That way and use the existing URL. That way the links to the meetings and on the web and everything are still correct. But we haven't done that yet. So for now, I guess we'll just use the same as last week. So we'll give people another couple of minutes to join and then we can get started. Okay, I think we can go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Velero community meeting for April 30th, 2024. If you haven't already, you can go ahead and add your name to the attendees list and to any status reports or discussion topics. See the link in the chat because we've right now the usual URL on HackMD, that document is full and we still need to do some maintenance to archive some of that old information. So we have a temporary one. It's the same one we used last week to put the notes in for today. So I've just got the one update for myself. The backup performance enhancement design PR, it's updated that again, as well as putting some comments here. So feel free to go ahead and read through this. Basically, where we are now is I think we have a couple of issues of disagreement among the maintainers. I'm trying to respond to those so we can kind of continue this process. It was proposed last week that it might be good to have a separate meeting to discuss just this design. we can't do that this week because most of the maintainers are going to be out of the office the remainder of the week. But I'm hoping to get that on the calendar sometime middle of next week. If there's any specific points anyone has on this, we can talk about it now, but we don't really have the rest of the maintainers here today. So probably any substantial discussion we should hold off on until next week on that. Does anybody else have any status updates or discussion topics? This might be our shortest community meeting ever, but that's fine. Again, a lot of people are going on vacation for the week, and so we can kind of pick up with this, next week where we left off. Any last comments from anyone, or are we ready to just move on and take the time for later? Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll be back at the other time zone time for the meeting next week.
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Sorry. Bye.